The Naqada Kingdoms. The Naqada Kingdoms were established in northeastern Africa in the area of modern-day Egypt. The early Africans of the Naqada Kingdoms are the people from which the great power of ancient Egypt descended. Now, the Naqada Kingdoms are generally divided into three sections, namely Naqada I, Naqada II, and Naqada III, the first of which began in 4000 BC. Naqada I. So the first Naqada Kingdoms were formed in 4000 BC. The Naqada culture descended from their predecessors, the Badarian culture. The Africans of the Badarian culture were established even earlier in the region in 5000 BC. As a consequence, much of Naqada pottery carried the same style and characteristics as Badarian pottery. Typically, the pots were brown with a black rim. The Naqada had a structured society, with elite members of the kingdom being buried within a separate area from normal citizens. One of the cemeteries of this group is known by historians as Cemetery T, and this site contains tombs that were much larger in size. Areas which contained no burials were located near an area known as Nubt, and numerous gold mines close to this region and in Nubia were also developed. Indeed, the Africans of Naqada were involved from the earliest of times in trade with their neighbors in ancient Nubia, located in modern-day Sudan. Naqada I is also sometimes known as the Amuratian culture, which derives its name from an archaeological site known as El Amra. At this time, the Naqada people located in Upper Egypt also traded with the Africans in Lower Egypt. Mud brick buildings were developed during this period. Deceased persons were buried with food, weapons, and vases, indicating a strong belief in the afterlife. Naqada II. The Naqada II kingdoms were established in 3500 BC. This culture is also known as the Gerze culture, deriving its name from the Gerze cemetery located on the west bank of the Nile River in Egypt. New pottery known as marl was developed at this time, and its characteristics include a rough surface with a pale green, grey and white colour on the artefacts. Metal development was also characteristic of this period. Stone vessels and flint knives were also created and used during this era. Some of the art and pottery of this period was decorated with boats, oars, and always flamingos. Naqada III. The Naqada III kingdoms were established in around 3200 BC. This group of Africans constructed the first royal cemeteries, elite-only burial places, and also continued with the mud brick architecture. In this period, the first state rulers were established and formal kingship. In addition, this period signified the increased use of copper and also the continuation of decorated pottery. The earliest hieroglyphic representations were also created at this time. Hieroglyphics would later become the formalized written language of their descendants, the Egyptian dynasties. Later, from these early people, the mighty African power of ancient Egypt would soon arise, and the first dynasties would be established by the king Nama.